welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today we're going to be making some waterproof pots. These are designed for like in your bug out bag or survival bag, or they can be a multitude of things. This one has two different sections. This one is just a full-size big one, and you can make them in all different shapes and sizes. Basically, it's up to you how you make these. What we'll do is we'll show you the way to make them. You can use them for storing waterproof matches, water purifying tablets, fire starting kits, fishing gear, whatever you want. They are ideal, and you can use them as a pill pot if you wanted to. They are completely waterproof. They float in water. Let's get on. I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so with my favourite type of project, we're going to take something that we'd normally recycle. We're going to use what we can of it, and then the rest can still go to be recycled. So what we need to do is we need to cut the tops off here. We need to cut them a lot closer than I've cut this one, and we'll do a close-up on all of that. Okay, so what you want to do first is you want to cut off this bit here on the solid bit at the neck of the bottle, just before this solid plastic bit. So for that you need to use a hacksaw or a multi-purpose saw or something like that. We're going to use a hacksaw and probably a Dremel because we're cheating, but it's quite straightforward. When cutting this, you're going to have quite a nice solid bottle until you bite through and you cut through the actual neck. Once you do that, it will lose pressure, and just go careful you don't then slip.
Yeah, it'll be able to get out.
Yeah.
A lot harder than what I thought. So the rest of the bottle now has gone to be recycled.
Yep. Okay. So here's what you're left with. As you can see, I sort of came away from where I wanted to be. What we're going to do now is we're going to just do that to all the bottles. I'm going to cut this one down a bit more as well. We're going to cut them all down to that point.
So as you can see, they've all been cut off, and now all we have to do is file them down.
Well, we're going to sand them, not file them. Oh. The reason we're using sandpaper on this one is because we want them flat all the way round. If we were using a file, we could get lumps and dips, okay, and that becomes very important in a bit. So yours is a softer. Now, as you see, you've got two different grits on this, yeah? Try it on your one, try it on my one.
That's a rougher one.
Yeah, this would be, say if you were sanding down a piece of wood and it was really, really nasty, you'd start with a lot
coarser one.
Coarser. So this is 80, yours will be 120. Yeah, yours will be 150. Okay. So that means there's 150 bits, I think it's per inch, roughly, they don't go around counting them all. And then, so this is 80 and you can get 20.
That would be a really awkward job if you
That would be a crap job, wouldn't it? Okay, what you want is you want all of that gone. Doesn't matter if you do end up sanding some of this area, that's not a problem. Now, I think I've made a little bit of a mistake here. Nothing major, it can be rectified. But if you have a look here, this is because I used a Dremel, the cutting disc of a Dremel on it. These ones, I used a hacksaw, so that will be much easier to sand down, because what happened is the Dremel has melted some. We're still going to be able to deal with it, it's not a problem, but I think it's going to make it, where we save time using the Dremel to cut it, I think we're going to lose that while trying to sand it off. Nearly. If you have a look, it's getting down to the bit now. It doesn't matter about sanding this, that's not a problem. That one's done. It's sanded down to its bare essentials. So I'll crack on to another one. Oh, there is bits in here as well. Hang on. No, that's fine. Little scratch, they're gone. Can you see how much of a lip there is on this? We need to get that all down. Feel this one. Yeah, you get definitely, and you made more of a more. Oh, hands up. It's done better now on this one, don't you? Do them all on that. Okay,
so I'm going to try this one now, the one that you cut with a blade. See whether that's a bit easier.
Well, that one is the one that I cut really far off, so it's actually going to...
Yeah, I just need to do down here.
If you change where you hold it, you find it'll put the pressure in different places, so that might work better for you. Take that one. I'm going to go to the small one.
So this one would have been the easiest one to do, except it was cut not completely flat, so this side had more on than this side. This side took literally seconds to do, but now I need to file down because there's still a bit of a lip.
So that is easier if we had have used a normal saw.
It is easier to cut with the saw than it is with the Dremel because of the melting.
Yeah. Okay, a lot of elbow grease later. We have got 6 tops and their little hole, well, screw bits, and some of them we have sanded down to completely flat. Other ones have got little notches but nothing major. If you're doing the dual cap one, so it's got 2 different sides to it, then they need to be totally flat. I'd say they all have to be totally flat, but you've got a bit of leeway when it comes to the ones that you can open either side to get to the stuff in the centre, you know. Okay, the next job, making sure you've got one of the bottles and you didn't throw them all away. I will make sure I put a little warning in the top corner. What we need to do is we just need to cut out a section of this without cutting a section of ourselves. Okay, now our first job is to stick one of these onto here. Okay, this is going to be our two-stage bottle, so it'll have 2 separate little compartments. So we need the super glue. Goes the other way. I'm using it on this side because I can then hold it down in place, whereas with it curling up, I don't know whether it will stay in place or not. Okay, now with your super glue, you want to put a nice amount all the way around, not too much, you don't want it to go everywhere. Just enough to coat it and fill up all the joints. Keep the lid back on. And now placing it on our piece of plastic, and I'm going to hold it down. Try not to stick your fingers to it. Just going to hold it there for a few seconds. You can buy something called kicker spray. And what it is literally you just have a little spray and you go tss, tss, and it starts off with the reaction of the super glue a lot faster. I found out that bicarbonate of soda does the same, so a little sprinkle of bicarb sets it off almost immediately, but there's enough sawdust and sanding paper dust and dust in the house at the moment. Just a little bit longer. Now obviously I could use a clamp for this and various other things, but I don't want to, not yet. Once I get the other side on, I'll clamp it together. So while I'm doing that, can you put your fingers down on that, my lovely? Thank you. We're going to start. No, we're not yet. Let's not be too eager. Let's leave it a couple more seconds.
Put it on the other side.
Yeah. So, again, not so much. You don't need too much of this stuff. Just make sure that all the areas are coated, because you want these to be completely waterproof. Leave that for a second. One thing, the solvent from super glue can actually hurt your eyes as well. Don't let go of it, please.
Let's say the solvent from super glue can hit your eyes then again.
Okay, let go. Now you want to line them up as accurately as possible. No. Sorry, I thought you were touching this. Oh shit, go. Okay, clip it. Stop. Right, wait there. Let's just have a look. Try to be as precise as you can at this point. There you go, that'll do. There you go, those two are now sticking together, and we'll deal with this bit in a little while. Okay, let's move on to the ones that aren't going to have anything in between them. The reason we do something like this is it just means you've got a bigger pot that you can, for example, have matches in, and that they'll fit all the way inside, you see.
These pots are good for if you're medication. So if you want to put some pills in there, because at the end of the day this is off-grid and you don't want to take the medicine packets. They're sharp on the edges, they can cut through your materials that you've got, your bags, snag your waterproof clothing. So keeping them like this, they're waterproof and they're not that big. They're not going to take up a lot of room.
They're also really good in sort of like a bug out bag for matches or potassium permanganate and glycerine or glycerol, things like that. You know, for fire lighting stuff. They're brilliant for tinder because they float. They don't sink. So you know, I've seen some people with their packs. Can you clip? That's it. Whoa. And go. Clip, clip, clip. That's it. I've seen some people with their packs where they've literally just got 10 different pots like this in them. And it means that they've got all these different pots, all different coloured lids, so that they know exactly what's in them without actually having to open them. And so, for example, they might have a green one that's for their fire lighting stuff, and in there might be a tiny ferro rod, some char cloth, and maybe a few matches. And then I have one that's pink and blue, which would be for their potassium permanganate and glycerine, and various other things, you know. And you can have tons of these. These literally will fit in your pocket easily, or they'll fit in your bag, and you can have hundreds of these in a bag. You know, water purifying tablets are another good one for in here. So it's up to you. You know, whatever you can come up with, you can put in them, you know, and I might work on a way of making them bigger, but at the moment this size does seem perfect.
You can get bigger 3 litre bottles.
Yes,
or 5 litre bottles.
With the bigger blue lids, yeah, I suppose. So we could try that.
Maybe that's something else to try. You know, you can keep...
That'd be good for a small survival kit, like a small first aid kit.
Yeah, so you can, you know...
Should we try that?
You can keep, like, plastic in there. Or even, say, something that if you want to take tea and coffee.
Yeah.
And sugar. There's just enough in there if you're, you know, something that is... It's not essential, but if you need...
Come on, get a coffee in the morning is essential. Right, I need to go and get another clamp. What did you just say? Right. Now this one hasn't been sanded down enough. So there's a little gap, only tiny, 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 but if you're trying to make a waterproof container and you've got a little gap, that won't work. So we'll have to rectify that in a bit. But there we go. We now have 3 pots, all drying, and they should be 10 or 15 minutes and we should be able to use them. Back then. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes and this has started to dry. This is the one that wasn't quite linking up. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to put some more super glue in the gaps and it should spread around it and just fill up the void. Now I think truthfully for a survival, you know, if this was going to be in my bug out bag or in one of my survival kits, I don't think I'd take this one, just because we just didn't do enough work on it. We hadn't sanded it down enough, and I think this was the one I did, so I can't really blame anyone either. So yeah, I wouldn't take this in my bag, just for safety's sake. I might reconsider that and put stuff in it that's not necessarily got a problem with moisture. I don't know. Okay, so they've been drying for about 20 minutes now. Well, about 10 minutes more. So take them out. Just make sure they're dry. Yeah. The one that had the gaps in, I'm leaving to dry for a bit longer because I filled all the seams, and it will just take longer to dry. Okay. With this one, now to finish this off, literally all you need to do now is cut into the plastic and cut round. Watching your fingers. Apparently having 10 digits is much more important than having something to store stuff in that's waterproof.
You could put your finger in, couldn't you, when you've chopped off?
Oh, that's true, yeah. There you go, multifunction.
In case you needed to pick your nose, something.
That's it.
Don't you dare put that in.
Okay, there we go. So now you've got a pot with 2 sides. So you can put your potassium permanganate in here and your glycerine in there, for example, and they'll never meet until you want to make a fire. Or you can put water purifying tablets in and a little bit of char cloth. Whatever you want. That is now a 2-stage bottle that has that is now waterproof and that will not touch each other. This one is a lot deeper, and you can put waterproof matches in, or a small fishing set in there. You could put yourself a few meters of fishing line, a few hooks, things like that in it. And that's it done. Very simple and very, very useful. And my favourite, your recycling. Hope you guys found that interesting. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.